nobody had crush in life. क्या scene है यार? You okay? So a lot of times, and you're afraid to talk to this person, right? For whom you have a crush, and given you cannot have a conversation because you're worried that what if the person says no. But if you will get this no multiple times, next time से confidence आ जाएगा. So my only perspective is, in life, keep trying. It is okay to fail, and it is fine to fail. Secondly, coming from the Guju family, I like we used to do. So my grandmom used to basically every day ask for hisab. Hisab is budget. She used to give 100 rupees to my mom to get sabjis and stuff. Then to my granddad, and because she used to manage all finances at home. So every time on the table we used to say how much money you have spent, and it was very boring to me as a kid that why are we talking about money, and like, oh, why did you spend 5 rupees more or less? But believe me, that instilled this sense of budgeting inside me. So a lot of times in your home, you would also realize when your parents ask, okay, I gave you this pocket money, what happened? And you're like, what is this rigjig? I don't know what is the right English word for rigjig, right? Why this headache? But then you realize that you will learn this. See, the day you are running your own company, or you are even working for a company and you are given a budget, you will know how to maintain a budget. Again, those are the small things which got instilled way back in life. Third, currently I'm public speaking. How many of you are afraid of public speaking? If I give you a mic, कौन हाँ के सबके सामने कितने लोग नहीं बोल पाएंगे? मुझे बताओ. Raise your hands. Because जो raise hands नहीं करेगा उनको मैं बुलवाऊंगा mic से. So anybody who doesn't raise the hand, I will ask them to come and talk on the mic. So raise your hand if you. How many of you are afraid of public speaking? Okay, so many. Yeah. So my mom was also afraid of public speaking. So her entire life goal was that I learn how to public speak. So when I was in my senior KG, she made me go on to a storytelling competition. And I told the story of this monkey and the cap seller. You heard this story? Monkey and the cap seller story? Where the cap seller, all these caps are taken by the monkey, then cap seller throws his cap, and then monkey copies, and then he collects all his cap. So when my teacher was like at the end of the first round, she selected me for the second round. When my mom asked like how did Nirmit do, my teacher told my mom that he was okay, but given he was speaking, we gave him a chance. Oh my God, that teacher hurt my mom's ego. Yeah, how can my son not speak? That night, I practiced 11 times in front of the mirror, and this is a senior KG kid with my mom, and I got better at public speaking. So again, a lot of these things which became like budgeting, failing, being middle class, all of these things in hindsight were my superpower. So a lot of times, how many of you truly believe that you are middle class here? Raise your hands. डरो मत यार, मिडिल क्लास होना सुपर पावर होता है. Raise your hands. Don't be afraid. It is good. Okay. All of you, a lot of times in life, you feel that why this? Why I don't have this? Why don't I? Don't worry. All of this is training you to be strong and better in life. Okay. So being middle class is superpower. And I will tell you why. It's a privilege in India. Because you don't have to worry that next day ka food kahan se aayega. You don't have to worry about how I'm going to get my meal for the next day. And so many people in India who have to worry about that every single day. You are good that your parents have taken that things for you. They have taken care about this. And the rest you are learning. You are learning so that someday you will become strong so that you can run projects, run organizations and run things. So being being middle class was always my superpower. And then I will talk a bit about how did I even think about starting a company in the first place. See, so at this point of time, I would say, I was in my final year of my engineering, and I was a very studious student. I used to like really study hard. Then it was a part in my college where I think so there was this one guy called Purav, and he used to have this long hair, play guitar, play football. The guy जिसके पीछे college की like all the girls of the college used to run behind this guy. So he was that guy. And he's like in the library, yes, you should read books someday, right? We have an exam tomorrow. He's like, no, I'm reading this book about this guy called Steve Jobs. I'm like, who is Steve Jobs? It's like, no, this guy started this company called Apple in Silicon Valley, and you should read about it. And he's like, maybe on the bus you read this book, maybe in the exam, like you read your exam books later at home. And he gave me this book, and believe me, I started reading this book about this guy called Steve Jobs. And now I know all of you know who Steve Jobs is, right? I assume so. The founder of Apple. That book literally changed my life because I was so inspired about how this guy built this company and how young he was, how many decisions he took didn't go right, but he still kept on striving. So whole day I never studied for my exam. I just kept reading the book till the next day in the morning. I was going to the examination hall and he saw that book in my hand and he's like, okay, so you still didn't have not like picked up your study books. I said, no, this is very interesting. So that just changed. Now that was happening in my life. So I'm reading this book called Icon around Steve Jobs. At the same time, there was this big floods in the west coast of Gujarat, and 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 with all of this happening, and this big floods in the west coast of Gujarat, how many of you were doing engineering but you worry about कि यार engineering में whatever equations and everything I learn where I'm going to use it in my real life? How many of you think about that? One. How many of you have done engineering or are doing engineering? None? Okay. Very, very few. Okay. Do you think if you study this Fourier transforms where I'm going to use this in my life? Right? So all of this were always like where I'm going to use all of this Fourier transforms or etc. anything in my life. And there was this floods on the west coast of Gujarat, so I wanted to solve the problem of floods. So decided to go and solve the problem of floods. While I was solving this problem, I realized the software which I had built could also automate how hydropower projects work and decided to convert that to company. So that was my first company which I built, which was called Incon, which was around dance. And with all of this going on, I had this one of my mentor, and I will talk about this mentor called Ade. So this guy had come from Stanford, and I was in this second year of my college, and he asked me what is my dream. Okay, let me ask like 2-3 people what are their dreams. Okay, this guy, dream. What is it?
Entrepreneur.
Describe like what kind of company you want to build.
An tech company.
Okay, a tech company. How many people in your company?
Multinational company.
Multinational company. So he has a big dream. Anybody has a dream? Now don't tell me none of you have dreams. Any dream. Don't be worried that you cannot share a dream. Okay, this guy has a dream.
तो मेरा जो बेसिक सपना था दैट वाज ऑलवेज टू गेट इनटू समथिंग रिलेटेड टू राइटिंग एंड which is why I'm kind of lucky that I'm doing MA in journalism.
Nice. So we can see a publication or a newspaper or a book written by you someday. Someday soon. Okay. Any more dreams? Any more dreams in this room? Guys, this is the time you don't know. भगवान ऊपर से in गुजराती भी से तथास्तु. भगवान तथास्तु बोल सकता है. तो जो भी ड्रीम है बता दो ऊपर बोल दिया तथास्तु तो it might convert into reality. If there is one chance, okay, who is the person who can share his dream or her dream? Okay, you have a? Okay. You want to franchise your cafe? Okay. So all of you have dreams. So I also had a dream. So when I was talking to him, I said I want to build a company of 50 people. And why did I say 50 people? Because in the society where I said, there was this one uncle who used to drive a Mercedes Benz, and he had this company of 50 people. And for me, that was the dream that I wanted to go and achieve. I want to build this company. So maybe someday I can buy a Mercedes Benz for myself. So I was talking to this mentor of mine. He listened to my dream and he didn't say anything. And then he basically sends me a ticket to Silicon Valley. So he took me to California. Next day morning, there's a ticket sitting in front of my desk. And then he takes me to California. As soon as I land, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to America for the first time in my life. Like he's going to, like, I'm going to go to a hotel, relax. And, but before I do that, he picks me from the airport. So I don't know how many of you have been to the Bay Area in California, but from the airport, you first go to Menlo Park. So he takes me to Menlo Park and he shows me like a whole campus of 5 buildings. He said, Nirmit, this is Facebook. This was Facebook in the year 2013. Now it is far bigger. From there, he takes me to Mountain View, where there is Google. Then he shows me 1 building, 2 building, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I stopped counting. I stopped counting at 11 buildings. And his point was, if you want to dream, you dream big. Don't dream small. It's like, why you want to build a... So he showed me a dream. I could never imagine that there is a street of buildings and all of these buildings belonged to one company. And it was just crazy for me to see the scale at which all of these companies, which we use day to day, are working on. And for me, that was very grounding moment. That I need to go and think big. So for me, that was the thing. And of course, I talked about Incon. That was the first company I built. So we have automated around 1100 megawatts of hydropower thing. Now we have merged it with a family business. So today, 70% of Indian hydropower dams, the automation system belongs to either Incon or Vidyut Industries. So that's the first company. I started it when I was in my second year of my engineering. So once, I think so I made my first crore when I turned 22. Yeah, I made my first crore when I turned 22. Completely bootstrapped. I didn't know what investors were, nothing. And then second one was Cruxbot. So now I was building this first company. I built it, and then I was on my date with a girlfriend of mine, and we went on a date at Crosswords. How many of you been to Crosswords? It's like a book shop. It's like yeah, you all of you know. So we went to Crosswords, and first date, and I'm looking at this girl, and I'm like, oh my goodness, she's so beautiful. I wish I can do like every day I can have dinner with this girl. And then we are just picking up books. Like she's actually more excited about books. I'm more excited about her. So I'm looking at her. She's looking at the books, and and then she picks up one of the book, and then at the behind any book there is always a small summary. And so she is like, Nirmit, this is so cool, right? I wish if there was summary for everything I read on the web. So this was again, this year is 2020, basically 2012, 2013. And I said, do you find this cool? He's like, yes, because I waste so much time reading about things and I realize this page is not good. So this was a time before Google had this snippet of summary that comes at the end of every link. And I'm like, okay. So I thought if I go and build this tool for her, then I'm going to impress this girl. That was the only goal I had in my life. It was Friday evening. In the weekend, I start writing a piece of code. When I'm an instrumentation control engineer, I'm not I'm not a computer science guy, but picked up something from the web, started writing it for her. And again, the whole goal, the only goal was this girl. I wanted to ensure that I impress the girl so that she can become my girlfriend. And Monday morning, I gifted her a small tool which can summarize anything she reads on the web on the fly. And I said, this is going to make your homework easy. So she was studying medicine, and so that you can spend more time with me, and I want to be your boyfriend. And of course she said yes. We started dating. But the side effect of the date, the tool which I had built for her, she put it out online and it went viral. So within a couple of days, we were doing like 100 million summaries a day. And out of the blue, this small thing which I had built for fun had become a company of its own. And we were getting $5 million, $10 million, $20 million for something which was just built like for fun. And $20 million at that time, dollar was like 60 bucks, was 120, 130 crores for a week of work. Not bad. I told my parents, they were like, no, like this cannot be possible, because again, it's very hard to believe. It took me like 2 years to make my first crore. And then the second thing just popped up. And then all of this happening, I went to Silicon Valley where I met a lot of venture capitalists. I also got to know that there are people who will give you money to start companies. This is interesting. But then, uh, how many of you heard this Intel? You know Intel? So Intel was acquiring a company called No, and then we integrated our product. So we merged with No, and then finally Intel acquired No. So Cruxbot became part of Intel, and so that also allowed me within a year to go through an acquisition of a company that I built to impress someone. And yeah, and of course the girl whom I was dating then is now my wife, and we have a small kid. He's a 2-year-old called Presh. So that's how life turned out for me. Again, it is all dreams. It is all keep trying, not giving up attitude. And that is why I'm telling you guys, folks, dreams hai to chillao bolo. Because you know a lot of times, and if you are afraid to speak in public, go to your bedroom, your bathroom mirror, and say it aloud. Because in this world we forget our dreams. This world will always tell you that you cannot achieve your dream, and we start forgetting our dreams. Don't forget your dreams. We have a very limited life on this planet Earth. You know, there's only one constant: we all are going to die, which is the only one real truth of life. Sorry to break it, we all are going to die. That is imminent. If you know the final outcome is you are going to die, then why not have a life full of thrill? Why not just have a life full of thrill? and and at least that's what I try my best to do. Again, I'm not really good at it, but wherever I can, I find some adventure, I find some thrill, I try and seek it. So folks, don't be afraid of your dreams, seek this. And for me, this was floods, dam and love. That was the first part of entrepreneurship in my life. Now, before I go to the second part of entrepreneurship, before I go to the story of Murad and Apna, I'll tell you then how it. So now I was almost at 26. I had made couple of millions of dollars because now I'd sold the company, and I decided now I'm going to go, and now I'm done. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to retire. But again, the girl whom I was dating, I went to meet her parents. So she was on her way to be a cardiologist, and both of her parents were doctors. So when I went to meet her parents for the first time, I said, "Oh, I have built a company, and I've sold it to Intel. I've made my money." And their problem was, "Okay, that is the past, but you're not a doctor." I'm like, "No, I'm not a doctor, and you're not an engineer, and that also not from IITs." They were like, "No, because I studied in Nirma University, which is not an IIT." So they are like, "Oh, this is very hard." So I was trying to understand why are they saying no. So I actually had a long call. It was a 2-hour conversation, and finally I said, "See, I want to make this happen. Tell me, how do we make this happen?" मैंने बोला, either we make it happen in a nice fashion, or I run away with your daughter, and we don't want to do that. So we want to make it happen. Please give me a chance to make it happen. So when this conversation was going on, I really understood what is going on in their mind. So the one thing that was going on in the mind is, see, as a cardiologist in the US, you end up making a good amount of money. And their problem was, if I start something new in my life, and if that doesn't work, see, male egos are very fragile. And I know a lot of males don't want to speak this out in public, but because the society expects us to be the main breadwinner in the world. So that is why they are fragile. It is just the expectation of the society. So they are worried that if in life, if I start something new and it doesn't work, my fragile male ego might not take it, and then we could have relationship problems. So now I understood where they were coming from. And of course, I did try to explain them, it doesn't matter. I don't mind being a house husband. And I really don't mind being a house husband. I'm a really good cook. I can take care of kids. I can do everything. But they were still not okay. So that is why I decided to let me go and apply to a business school. So then I went online, searched for business schools. I saw which is number one business school, Stanford. Number two was Harvard. Given I sold my company, which was in the Bay Area, I said Stanford makes sense. It's a school next door. So exactly 2 days before the deadline, I decided I want to apply to Stanford. And 15 minutes before the deadline, I sent my application into Stanford University. Luckily, they loved what I had to say. They loved what I had built before in my life. And I got an admit to a full-time MBA program there. From Stanford, again, next 2 years were a lot of fun. And from there, I went to work for Apple. How many of you use an Apple phone? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So Apple was one of the first companies to remove the center wala button, jo hota hai, right? So that was iPhone 10. So I was part of the product and strategy team which got that out. Feel very proud about that. Probably the most amazing team. So, and how people might also hate us. We were also part of the team that removed the headphone jack. But that pushed the world. It's courageous. It pushed the world on the right side because you don't need a headphone jack. The way you didn't need a floppy disk and now you don't need a CD disk, you have to keep moving forward. So work there for Apple across Asia and Cupertino. And while I was working for Apple, and I was in San Francisco, I basically don't play the video. Hold on. I went to watch this movie called Gully Boy. How many of you watched this movie called Gully Boy? 1, 2, 3. Have you heard about this Gully Boy? 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. 7, 8. Okay. So for folks who have not watched this movie, this is here the protagonist's name is Murad. He is basically coming from a very lower middle class family, but has this amazingly big dreams. And every time he dreams something, the whole world tells, "Bhaiya, tumse na ho paega." See, every time when we dream, a lot of times this world will put a glass ceiling in front of us. We are always taught के पाँव इतना ही फैलाओ जितना आपका चद्दर है. That is a very interesting कहावत in the north. So you should only basically see what is the size of the blanket, and that is how you want to sleep, so that you are covered by the blanket. Again, all of this comes from a way to protect us. But in this movie, the protagonist, without any connections in terms of pop and hip hop, and he wanted to become a hip hop sensation, actually figures out a way to become the hip hop sensation of India, and it is based on a true story. So I was watching this movie, and there was this one dialogue which really motivated me. And
हम जैसा लोग के वास्ते जिंदगी इतना आसान नहीं. हम लोग बड़ा कदम नहीं उठा सकते. कितनी बार तेरे को समझाया अपना मुंडी नीचे करके चलने का. ये दुनिया का जगमग अपना
अब कभी आपने सोचा है कि शायद आप गलत सोचते, कि शायद आपने अपनी अक्खी जिंदगी बिता दी एक झूठ को मान, कि अपने नसीब में यही है, कि अपना नसीब में सिर्फ कचरा पट्टी है बस.
ये झूठ नहीं है. तेरे से ज्यादा चांद रात देखा है मैं. तेरे को वही सिखा रहा है जो मैं सीखा है. तेरा सपना तेरा सच्चाई से मेल खाना चाहिए.
मैं नहीं बदलता अपना सपना अपनी सच्चाई से मेल खाने के वास्ते. मैं अपना सच्चाई बदलेगा जो मेरे सपने से मेल खाए.
sorry, this was in Hindi. I'll translate it into English. So his dad is telling that I've seen many more nights and days than you, and the world has said that we have to see like this, like see down and not look around. And he says that you should go and based on your reality see realistic dreams. And he said no, dreams are supposed to be not real. So I'm going to dream big, and I'm going to change my reality to match my dreams versus to match my dreams to a reality. So for me, this is a movie I'm watching in San Francisco. It is a 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. show in San Francisco. And I'm watching this movie, and I feel this is a story of so many people in India. And I have come to the US. I have a lavish lifestyle in the US. I have a amazing penthouse where I'm living. I have everything there. But there are so many Indians who don't even have the right motivation. So I just wanted to go and do something for them. So 6 p.m., 6:30, I get out of the theater. On the way, I buy an Air India flight, which is 10 p.m. From San Francisco to Delhi. I take that flight, go down to Delhi. From Delhi, go down to Ahmedabad, and basically end up starting Apna.
जैसा लोग
So, and the whole idea of Apna is there are people with a lot of dreams, and we want to create an opportunity platform so that we can help people achieve their dreams. And of course, my dream was only to change, to be very honest, 2000 lives. I promised myself I'll go and change 2000 lives, and I'm coming back to US and building something more towards machine learning and stuff, which I enjoyed. But as I started this journey, I realized there's so much to do in India. There is just so much to do in India. So we started from there, and uh, so from there we started. We touched millions of users. We also became one of the fastest billion-dollar companies of India. I don't know how many of you know that. And the journey has been good. Today we are, you know how many monthly job applications we process or interviews we do? Can anybody guess? Monthly, every month. 25,000? No. I think so that we do per hour. So we do 10 million job interviews every single month. Every single month. You know how many thank you messages I wake up every day? Can you imagine what will be my inbox of thank you messages every day? No exaggeration here. I get 1.5 lakh messages every day. Thank you so much. Because of the job, I can take care of my like ailing parents, or I have sponsored I can take care of my daughter's education. This is how I wake up. And believe me, a lot of these days are very hard. As we are growing, we are building, but it is all worth it at the end of the day. And so my only, again, coming back to this entire thing, my just pause it. Yeah, my only perspective is, if you have a dream, protect it, and again take it big. All of this were dreams. And by the way, these are the 3-4 dreams which I talked about, which worked out in my life. Believe me, when these 4 dreams worked out, there were 100 dreams which have not worked out. Okay, let me tell you that. That is also the reality of things. When these 4 dreams worked out, there are 100 dreams that have not worked out. But if I had not tried for that 104 dreams, these 4 dreams would have not worked out. So most important is dream and don't give up. Dream and don't give up. Dream and don't give up. I think so that has been very important. And I think so we can skip, like, I think so all of you are good with jobs, or do you guys need any help with jobs, by the way? You guys have a direct line to me now. We have a conversation. So how many of you feel confident that you will land a good job at the end of the program? If not, just email me Nirmit at Apna, and through the backend, I'm going to push your application to the good companies. Don't worry, that is sorted. So for this crowd, that is sorted. You guys are good. Do build an Apna profile, send me your link, email me that you came in this slot, and Nirmit at Apna. And like Google, when you search, there are certain applications that come on the top. So of course, once you pass the test, we'll push you up in the right places. So we'll do that. That is just a perk of coming together. Okay. So high level, this was it. But before I do this, any questions which I can answer for you?
Can you please pass on the mic there?
She has a mic.
To him,
Okay.
yes. Can you please raise your hand? Yeah, to him only. Yes.
I think so.
You wanted to ask some question,
No,
right?
I think
You
the
raised
poor
the
guy
hand.
is got on a spot, but no.
Sorry.
Okay. By
I
the way,
thought you were
I love your
asking
tagline. Believe. Yeah. Anybody has any questions? Okay. So either everybody has understood it, or people didn't get it, or people got it but don't have the courage to ask. Folks, here again, courage is a very important element of life. Believe me. Yeah.
So my question was basically when it comes to like since you've worked abroad, what was it? And you've done your masters in Stanford and then you'd gone for the job, right?
Yeah.
So compared India से अगर compare करेंगे, then what was different about the entire recruitment process there? How getting a job over there? What was the main difference between the
How to land a job at Apple is your question? Okay.
Well,
Or somewhere in a good company in Silicon Valley. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let me answer that. So again, see, there are perks to graduate out of Stanford. Of course, that means all companies are chasing you. They never ask you for grades. Nobody has. So we have a grade non-disclosure policy. No, in my interview, nobody can ask me about my grades. That if you are from Stanford GSB, nobody. If you ask you the grades, everybody is going to revolve back. Okay. So grades and all, but the interviews were really good. So the first set of interviews which I had was first, unlike other companies where they do technical interviews and then they do culture interviews, Apple starts with the culture interview first. Do you really match the culture of Apple? Apple is a very fast moving, fast paced company. The second interview after you pass the culture interview is you have a set of different departments who check your technical skills, because the idea is very simple, that you know the theoretical pieces. That is why you are even sitting in the interview in the first place, or they would have eliminated you way back. But it is more like the first question they asked me was key in if you are in a factory and there is an assembly line problem, how would you go and solve this? So we had this answer. And there are different departments, like there's an iPhone department, there's an iPad department, then there is a watch department. All of these departments interview you one by one together. Now at the end of the interview, you have to give ratings. Either I have to give ratings to each of the department which I like, and then they have to give ratings to me. Finally, whichever the ratings match the highest is where you end up getting placed. Now, of course, there's a dating session where you get to woo them and they get to woo you. So that is how it is. But experience of working in Apple has been the most phenomenal experiences of my life. Think about this. Apple, you know how many iPhones we build in a day? At that point of time, can anybody guess? 1 million iPhones a day. 1 million iPhones a day. In this world, there are very, 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 very few companies which can build highly premium product. iPhone is $1,000 iPhone. It's an expensive product at such a big scale. Generally, इतने बड़े scales में either soap is manufactured or buckets are manufactured, not iPhones. They have, and every time when you hold an iPhone, oh my God, I am still in love with my iPhone. So this is my Android, sorry. This is my iPhone. So every time you hold this, you feel this is something which is handcrafted for you. If you and you have to use an iPhone to feel it. But a lot of energy that goes at the back to make this work. So it's a 45-kilometer line, production line, which works at the back. There are millions of machines which work at the back to ensure that this experience is done. So I think so it has been the most phenomenal experience of my life, as I build this thing, learn from the best around supply chain and stuff. Okay, I don't know how much time I have and how
Is
many.
there any more questions? Yes, yes. Can you please pass on the mic? Yes.
Yes.
Sir, my name is Aditya. My name is Aditya. Oh, okay. My name is Aditya. My question is, you worked both in India and US to start a startup. So how is the startup ecosystem different, and why are US startups more successful?
I would say they were, not now. Okay. So Indian startups are more successful and they will be more successful. I'll tell you why. You know, you guys have been born in a very interesting time. Let me give you, okay, I'm going to bore you with 40 seconds of detail, but let me talk about how the world is shaping up. Okay. So today, the biggest democracies, US and India ke elections ho gaye, which is nice, and both have been good elections. In terms of markets have appreciated the elections. Now, what is happening to Europe? Europe is aging. Germany and all European countries, the average age is very high. Europe is aging. There is conflict in Middle East, Syria, uh, Syria and Israel. There's conflict in Ukraine and Russia. Okay, so this is the state of the world. So a world is going to need a lot of rebuilding. Europe is going to need young talent. Now, which is the country which has the highest youngest people in the world? India. Which is the country which has highest English speaking youngest people in the world? India. Which is the country which has highest English speaking skilled people in the world? India. So, Indians, as an Indian, we have the biggest natural resource of talent. And in the world, every time the country which owns the natural resources will always win the battle. So I think so India is in an amazing shape. But all of this lies on all of you to build something interesting. Because हमेशा आपका जो super power होता है is also a super weakness. So I know we have an amazing demographic dividend, but you have to ensure that this demographic dividend doesn't become a demographic liability. So I think so it's brilliant time. And in terms of building, so see in startup you need a great market, you need dollars, and a lot of money is flowing into India, I think so, which is great. And you need internal consumption and you need acceptance in the world. We all have that. So I think so if I was young again, I would build a startup in India again. And I think so all of you should, because if you don't build something at this point of time, see this is what was a transitional moment which happened in Silicon Valley between the 1990 to 2005. If you were in Silicon Valley between 1995 to 2005 and you have not amassed more than $100 million, I'm sorry, but you're not arrived in life. Everybody almost, so many people made money because that was a great time to mine gold. So my perspective is that this is exactly the same time in India. This is a time where each of your careers are going to grow. Today, in Apna, we have 1,100 people. Today, majority of my direct and direct plus one reports take salary of, and they would be, say, my age or some are a bit elder than me, would take us average salary of 1 to 2.5 crores. So even with a job, you can end up making the money. And if you build something for India, I think it's a great time to build. So build for India. I would say build for India, build from India. You can build for the world, but again, see a lot of times when people ask me, so are you guys the LinkedIn of India? And I always go back and say, no, we are Apna of the world. It's very different because now there are two companies in South America which are exactly copying Apna in South America. There is one company in Indonesia, one company in Thailand, and one company in Africa which is exactly copying what Apna is trying to do. So you have to build something so that people don't say, oh, you are building like Ola is like the Uber of India. No, somebody has to say that whatever you build is this of the world. So make sure that is how we should think about, but it's a great time to be.
I hope we have time for one last question, please.
Yeah. So my question was about the competition. I think you answered a bit of that. And how do you see the AI and everything coming in? This industry is going to evolve.
Oh, yes. Very important question. Okay, AI. How many of you are worried about the AI? Should you be worried about AI or not? Because I know the world is very divided in this. How many of you use ChatGPT not in like for fun, but for real experiences like doing your homework and stuff? Because you guys don't work, right? So doing your homework is a good thing. You guys are not cheated with your homework with ChatGPT? Are you guys kidding me? Kya kar rahe ho yaar? Okay, at least some of you have used in some shape and form. Okay, so couple of days ago, so ChatGPT, whatever model you guys would be using, say a O1 or something, that's an IQ of 199, 110. Then there is a Pro which has an IQ of 120 to 130. I got introduced to a model a couple of days ago, not yet released to the world, which will be very soon released. That has an IQ of 150 plus. That's an IQ what Einstein had, but with the knowledge of world. Now think about this million bots talking to each other. I'm actually worried about my job. They can take a better decision than me. And like I'm the founder CEO of the company. So think about all the other jobs in my company. Okay. So, but don't worry about it. I'll tell you. You have to go and master these tools. So think about that. How can you master if you are coding? How do you use Cursor and other tools and go and master these tools? If you want to do sales, how do you master this AI sales tool? So think about this, right? You can clone your voice. Let's say if you are hired to be a sales manager to sell da da da. Say, okay, everybody get call for loans, right, from Bajaj. Say you are given to give this, sell it to this. You can build a bot in 4.5 minutes, which can do 1 million sales a day. That is the power. So if you start to use AI in the right way, you can kind of grow much better in life. So I would say you should learn future skills, and I would also urge universities to teach more future skills to the students, because without future skills, folks, we are doomed. And I would say learn future skills, very important. So whatever study things you learn on day-to-day basis is great on your degrees, but build industry readiness around future skills. I think so that'll be very, very important to grow in life. And you should know in whatever, if you're going to do marketing, learn all the tools of marketing. You know, there are tools which can build amazing like video campaigns for you. If you want to learn finance, there are so many tools in AI in finance. Go and learn them. And all of these things are free. If you want to build, can you imagine you can just write a prompt and you can build an app like Uber, right? If you go to, there's an app called bold.new or Lovable. If you go to Lovable and write a prompt, I'm trying to build a Uber of, say, dog walking, or you can say I'm trying to build a Uber for homes, or you can say I'm trying to build like an Uber app. Within 3.5 minutes, you'll write the code, which would have costed you like 40 engineers, 12 months of code quality, say $4 million. So in Indian rupees, it will be 4 8s are 32 crores. That you can write in less than $20 of a lovable subscription. Of course, you have to think. That also, I think so, with 160 plus, when the models get released in the next 2-3 weeks, you will see this models getting released out by, I'm not going to name the company, there are only 1 or 2 in the world, so you guys can guess. But I think so, till that, keep learning new skills. But you have to be equipped with skills. Again, I don't want to lie saying that, like, be in a la la land, but learn new future skills. Learning future skills is where it is going to be very important. So whatever you study, please study your future skills. Future skills are how do you go and excel using AI and stuff. Okay, I guess, I hope this was good. Again, folks who didn't speak up, please dream, okay? And अगर if you're worried to speak in public, जाके mirror के सामने चिल्ला के बोलो कि मैं life में ये करना चाहता हूँ, I want to do that thing in life. That will help you. But don't forget your dreams, because world will every day tell you to forget your dreams, and the world will conspire against you every day, because world doesn't want to change, right? So you should push back when the world pushes back to you. Okay. Again, thank you guys. Thank you for being an amazing audience. And sorry if I stood between you and your lunch. I think so. 12 to 1 lunch time, and some of you, I don't know if I pushed you guys. Sorry for that. But thank you very much. It was great and lovely to have you all here.
Thank you so much, sir. It was not just good session, it was a great session. I must say, absolutely dream inspiring. And thank you so much for ending the note with an emphasis on the urgency to be acquiring the futuristic skills. Kindly accept a token of love and appreciation from our end, and may I humbly request Ms. Rajini Sunny, the Honorable Assistant Professor of JNTM to be University, to kindly do that honor for us, please. And kids, let us put our hands together for this wonderful session that we have put across, and it was dream inspiring, action inspiring, I must say. Thank you so much, sir. And all the best wishes for your journey. Let Apna be the world's fastest growing networking channel. Thank you once again.